Close that. Close that. Where is Partha? Here is Partha. No, Partha is over here. Gosh, dog it. There you are. All right. I think I've got it done. All right, Partha, go ahead.
Yes, Charles. So just one confirmation. So how much time do we have today? Well, I have
As much.
I just wanted to know your time.
I have all day. I have nothing to do today.
Because see, when we start talking about Kalachakra and how, the matrix encodes us and how we are actually inside that cage, how to get out of that cage and all, it actually is a lot of lecture. It's actually lots of, stuff. So,
All right. Before you start, Partha, before you start, can you make me the host again to record this? I have to be the host.
Sure.
Sorry, guys. We're moving. All right.
I clicked on allow record. Are you able to do that?
Yep. All right. We are recording.
Yes. So as you can see in the great Q map, the great solar flash activity, spiritual light body ascension. And we also have this escape samsara in big bold at the right at the top. So we can see this.
Okay.
Now, let me clarify to the viewers, it is not an automatic process. It's an automated process. So what does it mean? Automatic means people think, oh, I sit and I just wait for the flash and I get the flash and that's it, I ascend. Like Jesus Christ at the end of his life, with his 12 disciples, he goes to a mountain and the light comes, he ascends. It's not that simple. We have to prepare our body, mind, soul, do a lot of study, practice, and a lot of meditation before we even think that, that light is going to take us to ascension. Because it's...
And guys, I hate to interrupt, and I'm not going to do much of it, but I've asked people in this in this group to start practicing meditation, to start practicing the things that you are talking about. I've before I came on, I've done my affirmations, and so just watching Partha and I, and thinking, oh, these guys are kind of cool. If you're not taking the actions that Partha and Angel are talking about, then you're kind of wasting your time here, because we're interacting on something that is warning of great things, and the spirituality that you engage in makes the difference in what happens. Okay, so we're not just sitting here putting on a show. We're giving you direction, and these are points of action that you need to take, we feel. All right, sorry, Partha, go ahead.
Yes. One of the important things which I would definitely touch upon some other day, I would just like to say, it's a controversial thing, but let me tell that there are two different earths. So there is this Midgard, or the real earth. It's actually quite huge, and it is where there are no wars. It's Garden of Eden. It's the real world. Okay, we are on the prototype earth. This is also called as the time machine or the samsara wheel. So we are actually inside a cage. We are not on the real earth.
Okay.
There has been a war going on since millennia between the titans and between the gods, and it is gods who sometimes come into human form. There is a lot of proof of that. Like, for example, in Hinduism, Hindu pantheon, it is said like Vishnu comes in the form of Ram, Krishna, or even Buddha. They say that Buddha is also one of the avatar. So as you have seen in the movie Avatar, there is a transfer of consciousness. So Jay is the paraplegic guy with, his legs are, and then he transfers his consciousness or mind into the blue guy. So similarly, there is a transfer of consciousness. Sometimes the gods come into human form to teach or help people. And this world is not exactly the earth. This is a earth. It's a very vast topic. I will not talk about it much, but I can only say in simple words, that is the samsara. So we are actually in samsara. So when Tibetan Buddhism says you have to go to Shambhala, or when they say that you have to go to the 5D earth, they are actually talking about the earth, the real earth. So as you can see in the cube map, you have all these qualities: compassion, equanimity, Buddha mind, forgiveness, service to others, the rainbow body, ascended masters, ability to fly, levitation, telepathy. All this you can achieve only once you purify all the nadis. So this is like, you can say, this earth is more like the lower earth or the lower mind. It's more like a testing ground. It's more like a school. It's more like a time machine. And I will show you the time machine, how it works, how it actually, it's a wheel, and how we can overcome that. So this is coming straight from the Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay, just 1 second here. So we have Tibetan Buddhism in the queue. We
Yes.
have Hinduism.
Yes. Samsara is Hinduism. Yes.
But on the other side, the yoga fire,
Yes.
and the other things that we've been talking about.
Yes.
So
Great solar flash. Yes.
And then the prophecy in every historical religion. So
Yes.
A basic American, a basic PSYOPs, a CIA officer, someone that's in NSA, this is not stuff they would put together. And also the solar,
Yes.
the sun being electrical, the electric sun theory, which is kind of over a little bit more on our queue. This is not anything that anybody in the government, electric sun, they can't even begin to wrap their heads around this stuff.
True.
So what Partha just rattled off, which blew me away. It's so easy for him. I couldn't repeat and sincerely, much less document what he just said. And the way all of this stuff presents and documents, Partha can see it's somebody that knows these subjects well and is presenting them in a proper form.
Yes.
All right. This is heavy, guys. This is very heavy.
Yes, this is very heavy. So it will start making sense only when you read and study about the ancient wars between gods and titans. So that is when, these things start making sense. So when you say, like, for example, on the left side, you see ancient artificial intelligence, you see the reptilians. They are not reptilians. They are actually the ancient titans. So reptilians are also involved, but it is a long-standing war. In fact, you remember, Charles, in my first session itself, I talked about the war for nectar of immortality. It was a great exercise activity between the gods and the titans. So they were actually churning the ocean to get the nectar. So the feud started that time, and Rahu's head was cut off. So this testing ground, actually, you can say there's a truce. It's a kind of a truce between gods and titans or the giants to, for any other souls to come here, learn their lessons. It's a safe ground. It's a safe place to learn things, study things, and then you can escape. But if you don't do that testing, or you don't do what is that called inner work or purification, you will be recycled into this earth. Okay, so that is why all these things will start making sense when you understand the deeper agenda. Okay, ancient Death Star, the Draco and Reptilian Dark Fleet, all this will start making sense only when you understand the original story. So that is one of the Buddha techniques which I will talk about when I'm talking about the Kalachakra. And then we have this mental and spiritual states, which I think you and Angel were talking about. So I will go to the now I'll go to the Samsara wheel. So let me show the Samsara wheel.
And guys, I'm sorry to be quiet right now, but I'm just processing everything that Partha says. If you remember your Christian tradition, which is based on your Jewish tradition, there was a war between the gods in Egypt, and that's how the nation of Israel was able to escape Egypt, because the God of the Jews defeated or overcame the God of the gods of Pharaoh. So this whole concept of the gods battling, It's based in your Christian tradition. It's based in the Jewish tradition. So the gods warring is in every ancient religious tradition, and there is a synchronicity between all the stories. They're told a little bit differently, but if you look at the kernel of the story, they're all basically the same. All right, Partha?
Yes, Charles. So this is going to be little heavy duty stuff. So people can replay this later also again and again just to understand. So I will not go very slow. I will be slightly medium pace. So this is called the Samsara wheel or the Kalachakra or the time wheel. Okay. So the outermost layer is the body. Then the second layer is the prana or the breathing. So this is where the breathing meditation all happens. Then you reach the cosmic mind, and then you reach the bliss sheath or the innermost sanctum sanctorium. So in fact, most of the ancient temples, whether it is in Egypt or whether it is in other traditions, they all follow the same thing. This is also called as the mandala in Tibetan Buddhism. So a mandala is it's like an expanded mind. So it all starts in the center, and then using the golden mean ratio. So golden mean ratio, which is also found in most of the natural things. For example, if you cut open an apple, or you cut open any like onion peeling, you will see that golden mean ratio. So I will show that little later.
Yes.
So this is the body. So the cleaning or the purification, to put it in a nutshell, it starts with the body, then the breathing, then the mind, and then you reach the inner sanctum sanctorium, where you are actually with the will of the creator. So here there is a small write-up which I can read it out. Human beings are made up of three external things: body, prana, and mind. This can be seen in Kalachakra as the external layer, the middle level, and the internal level. The outer layer is often, so I'll make it slightly bigger. The outer body layer is often referred to as exalted body mandala. The middle pranic level is called the exalted speech mandala. The inner manas level is the exalted mind mandala. So the word Mandela effect comes from this only. So many people don't believe in Mandela effect, but let me tell you, it exists because what happens is constantly this game is being rearranged. So that is why, when you go back into time and you see, oh, Luke is your father, I am your father, or, in that Forrest Gump movie, Tom Hanks says life was a box of chocolates, but some people remember it as life is a box of chocolates. That is because the mandala is constantly being rearranged by the giants, because this earth where we are is actually controlled by the giants.
Okay.
The innermost section of the Kalachakra is called the fortress of Durga. It can be divided into three main sections. So there is a mandala of exalted wisdom and 16 squares of mandala of pristine consciousness. The innermost center is the mandala of great bliss. In this center mandala, there is a green 8-petaled lotus, which is the seat of Durga as the universal soul or Vishwamata. And then she has 4 faces and 8 hands. So whenever you see any of these ancient gods with multiple faces or multiple hands, it means they're everywhere. They have a lot of superpowers. So it's not like literally they have 8 hands or 4 faces. It's like, the whole brain theory, where your brain is divided into 4 parts. So there is the logical part, which is on the, the left brain. Then there is the accountant brain. Then there is the spatial brain, which is the right brain, and also the creative brain. And then we also hear stories like, Einstein having a big frontal lobe because he can. So all this actually comes from this concept only. So there are 8 guardian angels for this Kalachakra. So Indra is like the king, like Trump, for example, is an Indra. Then you have Agni. So all the cooks, chefs, artists, they all come in this Agni. Yama is all the judges, all the people who are like judging in courts, they work in the courts and all that. Niruddha, all the scientists. So anybody who is like, trying to invent something or trying to do some groundbreaking thing like Charles, they're all in this southwest direction. Then Varuna is the western direction, the guardian of the western direction. So Varuna is also like bit like judge, but it is also, into creativity and stuff like that. Then Vayu is the communication. So all the sales people, all the people who actually are into a lot of communication, travel, flying and all, that is Vayu. Kubera is the god of wealth. So all the banks, treasuries and all is Kubera. And then Ishana is the people who are into religion, religious practices and all that. But this 8-spoked wheel is basically, it's also, I won't use the word trap, but as I said, it is like the samsara wheel. So when you take birth in this earth, in this matrix, so you have to go through these cycles. So when you go through these cycles over a period of time, so your soul is refined and you get new learnings. So you sometimes you are incarnated as a judge, or you sometimes you're incarnated as an artist or a chef. Sometimes you're incarnated as a politician. So only when you keep repeating the lessons, then you start coming inside. And when you start coming inside after a period of lifetimes, then you start coming even more inside. So even those people who don't believe in lifetimes or in incarnations, you can say that it is your own ancestor that you are you, meaning that your great grandfather is you only, because the great grandfather's genes or the DNA is inside you. So those people who don't believe in reincarnation concept, it still applies to you, simply because you carry the DNA or the lineage. So it doesn't matter if I say it is reincarnation, because it's your own DNA which is getting purified again and again. So this is the same diagram which I was talking about. Now this is the interesting part. So there are 15 phases of the moon plus the new moon. So totally 16 phases. So each direction again is ruled by different phases of the moon. So the first Pratipada means the first day after the new moon or the first day after the full moon. Navami means 9th day after the full moon or the new moon. So 1 and 9 is that. Then Aries and Taurus are the signs associated with it. Then the animal is the eagle, and then the yoni is a flag. And this is the Indra, or the ruler archetype. So one thing that viewers need to understand is that all the archetypes, all the gods are within you. So unless you release the bondage with those archetypes, with those gods, you will not escape the samsara wheel. Meaning that if you are tied to these archetypes, like for example, many people say, oh, I am a Piscean, oh, I am this, oh, I am that, you know what, I am a writer, so I think only like this. So that is actually kind of a mental conditioning. So what the Tibetan Kalachakra is telling you is that these conditioning happen over a period of time or maybe eons or ages, and because of which, whenever there is a great solar flash or something, you actually don't escape. What actually happens is you are recycled or relooped into the same matrix. But you do inner work and you overcome all the archetypes. So I will definitely teach about that Buddhist technique, which is which is a very ancient technique, which can help people to overcome these archetypes. So some people say, I'm, I love eagle, I'm Garuda. Some people say, no, I am, I'm Aries. Some people say, I love cats. Like I've seen your chat, Charles, like many people talk about the cat memes and all. So this fascination for a animal or a bird, it actually comes from a very, very deep layer of subconscious mind, which is embedded in the wheel of time.
Okay.
So because of which the associations happen at a subconscious level, and that is why the body in the subconscious layer, it becomes very hard. So before I slightly proceed with this, I want to show something very important. So I'll just go to Google. Before I forget, I will just go to Google. Meanwhile, you can just talk, Charles.
All right. Yes, I'm very glad that we're making a separate recording of this, because the information that Partha presents, it just is so synchronous with so many of the way humanity renders, and especially the way this reality and this earth has been constructed and has changed over time. Evolution is not present in genetics. Evolution is not present in the archaeological record, and evolution is not present in the in the geological record, what we see is vast and sweeping changes time after time. So what Partha is presenting here, at least to me, makes great sense. I mean, great sense in the way that I have studied the Earth, geology, archaeology, genetics, and paleontology. That you know, the saying goes that dinosaurs are millions of years old, and well, the Earth accumulates dust and spatial dust debris. We say a foot about every 100 years. We just the Earth is covered in new dust every 100 years, just from our skin, animal skin, fur, and everything. So if you go by that metric, then the dinosaurs should be buried about a mile to a mile and a half deep. They shouldn't be at the surface levels where we find them. And everybody's like, "Oh, you don't understand erosion." I understand erosion. You just don't. You're not seeing how these dinosaur bones are laid out. So what you say makes clear, perfect sense with what we see in the geological and archaeological record.
Yes. When I'm talking about Kalachakra, I want the viewers to understand that Kalachakra is both a Tibetan Buddhism concept as well as an Indian concept. So that is why I wanted to show a bit of the Indian part, which will help you to purify each layer of your body. So as you can see, this is your body. Using Kirlian photography, you can see something called as aura, and then you can understand there are basically 5 sheets or the 5 elements of your aura. So the physical body that people can see is called the Annamaya Kosha or the food sheath, then Prana Kosha or the energy sheath, then Manomaya, which is the mind sheath, then the intelligence or the discernment sheath, and the bliss sheath. And this description is there, so you can simply type in you can simply type in 5 sheets of consciousness in Google, and you'll get this information. So I'll go back to the PowerPoint. So the same thing is there even in Kalachakra. So as I was saying, so the body sheath, then the prana or the breath sheath, and then the mind sheath. Then you have the fortress of Durga, and then there is the central point which is not shown here, but in there it is shown in some other diagram. Is that the innermost sanctum sanctorum, so which is the 5th innermost layer. So here, yes, in this diagram you can see the 5th most innermost layer is called the bliss sheath, where you feel one with the Creator. So in Hindu tradition or in the Buddhist tradition, there is no such concept as Creator being outside of you. Meaning that when you actually purify all your nadis through meditation and over a lot of spiritual practices, there would come a time when you would feel that you and Creator are one and the same thing. Yes, it takes time to even think about it, wrap your head around such a concept, but that is the goal of all the Hindu or the Indian tradition, is to become one with the Creator. So
well, I can speak to that as a Westerner.
Yes.
The things that I've experienced, especially on this channel, is only the third eye, and just some of the things that I've achieved intellectually only happens through a lot of work and a lot of practice. You just don't figure out how to do an IP address in 5 minutes, and how to break down a subnet. Partha takes study. You don't know how to do knitting. Anything that produces something takes a time of study. If you're worried about your soul, if you're worried about the great solar flash, then you have to study the things that are associated by the people that are talking about this. So yeah, I mean, you keep making the fundamental point. We must do the work. All right, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, Charles. So as I was saying, so this again, this corresponds to the 28 constellations. So I keep talking about the constellations. The constellations are nothing but your own inner body. So as above, so below, as outside, as within. So whatever
Wow.
constellations you see outside in the space, they are inside of you also. So when you do the inner work related to each constellation, then that constellation becomes purified, and the karma associated with it, it gets, it gets released. So,
Okay.
affirmations like, I burn my astrological karma, or I release all the gods and archetypes in all timelines and in all dimensions. But you have to do it from the heart. You can't simply blabber it. You have to do it from the heart. So that actually purifies all the 28 constellations, which is actually inside of your brain only. So that is why, in the ancient scriptures, it is mentioned that the creator Brahma, he came out of Vishnu's or Narayana's navel. So from the navel sprouted the lotus, and from the lotus, in the lotus you had Brahma. Brahma again created four, young, children kind of people, and these people are like, they are in Buddhism also. For example, Sanat-Kumara, and is also there in Buddhism. He's also called as Maitreya. So he is one of the Kumaras, or one of the young child. So if you see the same wheel, you have the four parts. If you see, so this is one square, this is one square, this is one square, these are nothing but the four young disciples, or four young, creators who came out of mind of Brahma. It's actually quite heavy duty, I know, but
It is.
you have to
And it's thousands upon thousands of years old. You know, we look at our ancestors. You know, the quote unquote Stone Age, that we were walking around in loincloths and in sheepskin, and you look at the depth of study and the correlation with so many different things, that keeps making the point, as above, so below. And you know, and this is coming from such ancient traditions, Partha, that it, to a modern person, to a modern Western person, it's hard to make sense. And I was making the point yesterday, that Indian, Buddhist, and Indian ancient traditions talk about timelines, talk about different realities, talk about different worlds. They talk about so much stuff presented in science fiction that science fiction can't even wrap their head around it. But the Vedas speak to it like it's, walking around the house. There's no great effort in their writings. There's no, they're not trying to convince you of anything. They're just writing what they see. And we just do not allow ourselves to go that deep in studying your ancient traditions, because if you know your past, you know your future. All right, Partha, go ahead.
Yes. So the four Kumaras are the first creations of the creator God. They said they don't want to participate in any creation. They said that. And then, what happened was, Brahma was very upset. And from his mind, see, it is called as mind-born sons, or the brainchild. So the word brainchild, actually root is here, it comes from the Brahma. And similar, Brahma is also there in, Abrahamic religions. So it is Abraham, Brahma, they're all kind of similar. Yeah. So these are the four eternal youth children. So I will show you a small animation, which is done by another YouTube channel. So I'll just show you that animation, which is quite important for our discussion. So let me play that.
Okay.
So this is the netherworld, or the bottommost part. So it is a bit like the 9 realms of the Norse mythology, but it's slightly different. So the 4 children are learning their eternal youth, and they are always learning. They are the bottommost portion of the earth. Then this is the Midgard. So we are not in the Midgard. So as I clarified, we are not here, because this has a golden mountain. It's called the Mount Meru. It is 100,000 miles. 100,000 miles. So actually, you can't see such mountains here, right? In this earth. So we are actually somewhere in one of the lower realms, another earth, or you can call as matrix earth. So these are the 8 directions of the Kalachakra. As you can see, these are the 8 directions of the Kalachakra, as above, so below. So whatever are there here in this model of the earth, the 8 directions, the same are actually repeated for us also, because the universal creator or the universal design never changes. See, even if we
No.
are a different earth, a matrix earth, still the same philosophies apply. Meaning that, there is a 8 directional petal lotus, or the 8 spokes of the wheel, samsara wheel, but there it is not samsara. I mean, in the real earth is not a samsara. Real earth is like Garden of Eden. So we were expelled from that garden. So this central portion just now I showed you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the original Garden of Eden. So we were expelled from this. So this is 5D earth, or the 5th dimensional earth. We are in 3D earth, which is much below or in some other place. So when you see it, from the top view, as you can see, so these are all the real, sun, stars, the real ones. So we are in kind of a simulation. That's why, the mainstream scientists like this, what's his name? Neil Tyson.
Grass.
DeGrasse.
Yeah.
The grasshopper.
Yes.
And
Neil
all
deGrasse
this,
Tyson.
all the mainstream scientists, they keep talking about simulation and all. Why they call it simulation is, the reason is that we are, it's not exactly computer simulation as people say. It's not that.
Yeah.
That is where people make a mistake. We are not in a computer simulation. What we are is actually a simulation of the real earth. The real earth is quite beautiful. Is it's not defiled. It doesn't have any nonsense, no garbage, no pollution, no need to eat to survive. And there is, in the center, there are living waters from where you can drink. It's also there in Norse mythology. It's called the Urt well.
Oh.
There are 2 wells. In fact, there are 2 wells as per Norse mythology. We are in the bottommost realm, so that is why our well is poisoned. So our wells or our waters are polluted or poisoned, whereas the real earth has living waters, which is also shown in many movies like Mad Max, for example. Those who are movie junkies, they can watch the ending of Mad Max. It is full of revelation. It's actually the Jesus philosophy which is shown. And there, the heroine, what's her name? So South African lady. She's a famous,
Yes.
famous lady. She has won Oscar also. So she is the one. And there's a UK guy who is the hero of that movie, Matt Hardy.
Yes, and to make the point about the living waters, every single religion there is talks about living waters. Christianity, Judaism, and now we have the expert from the Hindu Buddhist mythology that talks about it. And there's representations in Sumerian, Babylonian, and Mayan and Indian depictions of a god holding a bucket, and that bucket has living water in it, and that's how the human and he gives it to the humans, and it extends their lives. And so every single major ancient religion has the living water and a depiction of a god, except for Judaism, a god holding a bucket.
Yes, Charles. So this is how the the wheel works. So as above, so below. So whatever is working above, it's also working for us. So the great pole star. So now the pole star would come. So the pole star is much above, and we can't even measure the distance. So it's quite far away. So this is the pole star.
Okay,
So
one more question.
Yes.
Because this keeps coming up. Well, in my mind, keeps coming up. Can what you're calling the Earth, the real Earth, can that be what many people call Nibiru?
No.
Okay.
It's actually a code word, Charles. So
okay, clarify that, rectify that.
Yeah, Nibiru is like you can say it is a code word for the solar flash.
Okay.
There is no such planet. What actually is happening is the great solar flash is coming, right? So
right.
To cover up for that, you say that it's going to be a planet which is going to come 3,600 year cycle and all that. So a lot of euphemisms and a lot of things actually are said to cover up for the fact. Like, for example, we were talking about comets last week, but now we are talking about the sun, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the focus has to be always on the sun. It is the sun which does things. It is not other things. Other things are like more symbolic. It is the sun which will emit the charged particles. It is the sun which will cause the EMP or the fire or whatever. And that sun also, it will receive the energy from the pole star or the black star. So from the black sun or the pole star, the energy will pass through like this. And then it will seep into all the realms. So that is why, you remember, Charles, so few days back, I was showing you that, how the solar flash actually goes into all the realms. So that is the same thing. So the fire actually comes not from the sun. It actually comes from this pole star, from the central point. And from there, it passes through all the 9 realms. So that is why all the people from all the realms, whether it is gods or whether it is the reptilians or whether it is the giants, everybody gets affected. And that is no wonder you had this movie called, Thor, the Dark World few years back. Then you had this Ragnarok movie where they were saying, everything is affected. But just one correction. When that fire comes, the other realms, especially the Midgard and Asgard, they don't get affected because they're anyways pure. It is only lower realms or our earth which actually gets affected because there is too much pollution and there is too much of defilement and all that. And that is the samsara. So these are all not samsara or anything. So that was Brahma. For a second, I was just showing. Yeah. So from the navel, he comes out. That is the Brahma. So I'll stop this animation. So these are the 4 Kumaras who were actually not interested in the creation. They were into teaching and all that. And one of the names is Sanat-Kumara. He's also quite famous in the Buddhist tradition. In fact, many people called Sanat-Kumara as, Sanat-Kumara is as Maitreya also. So he's the incarnation of Maitreya and all that. So that is the Buddhist part. So coming to the Kalachakra, coming back to the Kalachakra. So the 4 quadrants represent the 4 Kumaras, and then of course you have to come inside this. So one technique quickly which I can share is, which I have also told in my channel is, apart from the regular meditation, pranayama to clean the various things, you can also read these ancient lores or the ancient stories of gods and angels and demons and all this. And you have to visualize with one character. Meaning when you're reading, say, a story of Zeus and Hera and all that, so you have to identify yourself with either Zeus or Hera or, maybe Pegasus or anything like that. So when you identify yourself with that particular character, but from the heart, so you have to imagine as if you are that person, you are in the shoes of that person. So say when I'm reading this story of, some story where, Krishna is doing something or, Zeus is doing something, and maybe he broke some rules or something. Okay. Or the Rahu story, which I was telling you the other day. So you have to identify yourself with Rahu. You have to feel his pain. So when you feel his pain, that karma is released from you. So that is the Buddhist technique. So Buddhist technique is very simple. You read the stories and you identify with a specific character or the archetype, feel his pain, feel the problems they faced or feel the good parts they faced. And finally, at the end, you say that, I release all the karmas associated with this legend, this story, this archetype from my, my 5 bodies. Because you have...
And that's one of my affirmations.
Yes. So that is where the affirmations come in. So when you do those affirmations, what happens slowly, brick by brick, you actually disassociate yourself with all the archetypes, all the gods. Because let me tell you, this Kalachakra is very deep. It is 70,000 gods which are there inside of you. you have the DNA or the lineage of 70,000 gods. Meaning, see, the word God is like, some people don't like. So I can say that 70,000 light bulbs or 70 channels.
You're safe in using your language here. You don't have to clean up your language, Partha.
Yes. So, so when you say God, in Hinduism, God is not like, a guy who judges or anything like that. So in Hinduism or in Indian tradition, God is a light body. So the light body within you is only God. So God is not something outside of you, somewhere sitting in a seat of judgment. We don't see gods like that. Gods are within you, within your frequency, within your energy bodies. So they are actually acting at a very, very subtle level. In fact, a lot of Westerners like Arthur Powell, Madame Blavatsky, and Helena Blavatsky, all these people came to India. They met the Himalayan masters. They understood these things, and then they discovered about the ancient Atlantean, Lemurian, these sunken continents, and Pangea. They discovered about those, and they talked about the root races. So you have the root race called Polarians, then you have Hyperboreans, then you have something called as Aryans, Atlanteans. So these various root races emanate from the central point, because the game keeps repeating. Even if this earth is kind of destroyed by the Yuga fire, it is renewed. It's not forever. It is actually renewed, and then new souls come here and play the game again. So it is like a playground, you can say. And those souls who have not learned their lessons or not gone through the process, they also have to come back. And that is why it's called the samsara wheel. So the process is very simple. You do your meditation, you do your practices and all that. But apart from that, a very good technique is read up about the ancient lores and the stories associated with specific characters. Like Indra, there are hundreds of stories about Indra or Thor. That is why Thor is quite famous, or Zeus. Or you read about Kubera. Kubera is nothing but, the Santa Claus. He is the guy who gives the gifts. Kubera is also brother of Titan King called Ravana, or the 10-headed, Titan King. And then Yama is nothing but, as I was showing you the other day, Charles, he is the guardian of the south direction. So right now we are in the south. That is why, Charles, you were one of the first guys to observe that sun is moving towards north. Why north? Now you understood. Because we are going towards the north. So apart from these 8 directions, there are 2 directions which are not mentioned here. Let me mention those. One is Brahma and one is Ananta. So Brahma means going downwards. So it's not a 2D thing. It's actually a 3D thing. And Brahma is looking from above, he's looking down. So any soul who is coming into this playground, he's coming from Brahma. And then any soul who wants exit from the matrix, who wants liberation or salvation or the Yuga fire, he is going out, and that is actually coming out of the central point.
So hold on. Liberation from this cycle is the Yuga fire.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Guys, I cannot make that. That is huge. That pulls together all the upper portion of the Great Awakening map. I mean, you have to have somebody with Partha's level of understanding of all of these traditions to have put that on that Great Awakening map. I cannot stress to you enough that map is not a casual compilation from a few people thinking neat thoughts. All of this is just so connected. It has to have been a person or a group of people that already understand the connections, and those connections are well established. And it takes a hell of a long time to study this, to make these connections. It takes a lifetime of study, and then to apply it with all the Western traditions that are in the Q map and all of the world politics. It's just not something you can do simply. I'm sorry. There's much more to this Q. That's why it's a rabbit hole, and it's an intellectually satisfying rabbit hole for someone like Partha, for somebody like me, because as you see the connections, you see the connections. And what they tell you on mainstream media doesn't meet up with what you actually see with your own eyes and have with your own experience. All right, Partha, again, I just have to reiterate how important you are to all of this.
Yes, Charles, I understand.
And just can I say one more thing? You're bringing all of the words on the Great Awakening map to life. I hope people from the queue watch this, and I hope they pass it around to their friends in the queue.
Yeah,
because
actually,
this
it is a
this brings
collaborative
those words.
effort. Yeah, they have put all these things, but actually they don't know.
They
That's
don't. It's meaningless to anybody in the queue.
yeah.
It's absolutely meaningless, and you are bringing it to life.
Yes.
This is amazing, Partha. What a triangle.
Yes, Charles. So it is, it's a lot time consuming, and as in Shaolin temples, so the discipline has to be there. In Kill Bill movies and all, this lady goes there, she gets trained, and then she gets beatings also. So it's a very very difficult tradition. I mean,
Yeah.
it does look rosy from outside. I mean, to get this kind of output, you just imagine the amount of hard work or penance people had to do.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
doesn't come easy. Yeah. So one of the things that we need to focus right now in the current wheel of time or samsara is this direction. So this is our great guy Rahu. So this is the symbol of Rahu. So if you remember, Charles, I was showing you the symbols of the various zodiac signs like Cancer or Leo and all. So these are
Mm-hmm.
symbols of the various grahas. So we don't call planets as planets. We call them graha. Graha means to seize, to capture the imagination of somebody's mind. So for example, the guardian angel of east is sun. So this is a symbol of sun, esoteric symbol. This is Mars. This is actually Jupiter. This is Mercury. This is Venus. This is Saturn. This is moon, and this is Rahu. So the northeast direction, where, Charles, you saw that the sun was shifting.
Mm-hmm.
This northeast direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and see the symbol. The animal is hare. From the word hare, you have so many associations. For example, many people say they see rabbit or hare on the moon. They say that Cain, he went to the heaven and he was pulling twigs and all. Then a goddess came and the goddess said that, what are you doing? So he said, for me, Sunday and Monday are one and the same. Sunday and Monday are one and the same. So I will show that screen also. So this is where right now we are in the wheel of time. So it's almost completion. So we started at east, right? So east,
Mm-hmm.
and you went to southeast, and we went to south, we went to west. So we have completed the samsara wheel. Right now we are in this point, because Rahu recently on May 21st, he entered this portion. He entered into the sidereal Gemini, and especially the hair part. So I will show you that. So let me stop.
And hold on, before you leave here, what you're saying in a scientific sense is the wheel of precession has completed. And so
Yes,
the wheel of
exactly.
precession is
Yeah.
also the samsara wheel.
Yes, and the samsara wheel actually, if you see, it starts with the sun and then ends with Rahu, and then there is the dawn again. So
Yeah.
Rahu
Yeah.
is like the darkest before the dawn, or maybe lightest before dawn, in any which ways you want to put it. So it starts
Yeah.
with the sun and ends with the sun.
And understand that the people that had to put this together had to understand what precession was. And pre-flood, there is and when I say pre-flood, is pre-global flood, pre-12,000 years ago, 40, 50,000 years ago, there is a lot of historical traditions in the Egyptian writings, in the Jewish writings, in and maybe Partha, I don't know what Indian writings say, but people lived for thousands of years before the flood. It says so in Jewish writings, and
Yes,
so
exactly. We have this conception that whenever you drink from the the living waters, you
yes.
without thirst or hunger for 11,000 years.
And so people have actually experienced precession. Modern humans only know about precession from the ancient texts. And precession is when we go through the entire catalog of star signs, and it's 25,000 years. We go through each zodiac sign. We go from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. That age is 25,000 years roughly. So understand that the people that wrote this thousands of years ago understood the concept of precession. You can't understand the concept of precession if you only live 60 to 70 years. You know, you can't transfer this idea on generations. You have to see, experience it, document it, and then give it to people as religious text. Make it sacred so that they can keep passing it on after generations, and generations being roughly 50 years. So, wow. Okay. And again, now I understand the people that understand this wheel, that come from a Western tradition, get blown away, because you can't be a regular human and write this, Partha. There's no way.
Yes. Yes, Charles. So I would request the viewers to focus their mind on this direction. The Rahu, it is the Mitra. Right now, many of the presidents and prime ministers around the world, they are having this alignment. So for example, Indian Prime Minister, he is also having Mitra. Mitra means again Chris Mitra or Christmas. It's just before, pre-dawn. Then you have Trump, who is also similarly Scorpionic energy. Then you have, the Imran Khan, who's the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Even he has this. So many people, world leaders, they are also on the stage with this energy right now. So I will show you that. So let me go back to internet and let me show you few important things. So the keywords are hare and crow. So I will just show you that. So let me go to the crow first. So as you can see, the crow is near the Hydra, and it is the thirsty crow.
God, how do you know all this stuff, Partha?
So I always connect to the Western legends because I want even Westerners to be to have salvation.
Thank you.
Yes. So it is not, just an Indian thing. So it's not like, I have the knowledge, I keep quiet. I just don't, I keep quiet. So it's not like that. So I connect this to the Celtic gods and to the Western tradition so that people appreciate that what I'm saying is not just Hinduism or Buddhism. So for example, just now I showed you the crow in the Samsara wheel. See, the raven brought the cup and represents the Holy Grail to Apollo. Boron also says it was the rich fisher named Boron who was the brother-in-law of Joseph, and that it was he who brought the Grail to Britain. So Hebrew korban means a gift or votive offering for the god. So we are in that point. The great cycle, Arthurian legends are coming back. That is why in the last 10-15 years, so many movies have come talking about Egyptian gods, which are talking about the Celtic gods, which are talking about, the Game of Thrones. Why they are coming into the consciousness? Because of this. So this is the Corvus constellation, the thirsty crow who wants his nectar, and crater. And I have moon in this, just above this crater constellation. Crater means the Holy Grail cup. And then the other constellation was Hare. So I will show you the Christian connection there. Lepus, Hare, constellation of words. So you saw the hare in the Samsara wheel. So now pay attention to this. So this is that hare. And it is directly connected to Cain. The constellation of Lepus was also seen as Cain driven from the face of earth to the face of the moon. What is Cain? As David Icke says, so many people in UK, they follow David Icke. Cain is coin, meaning money. A medieval to say that end, Cain arrived at the moon where he eternally settled with a bundle of twigs. An example of this belief can be found in Dante's Inferno. So we are in the Inferno. That is the real global warming. We are in the Inferno. We are not on the real earth. We are in the Inferno. That is why the temperatures are shooting. It's kind of a closed system, a closed loop feedback. Cain and the twigs is used as synonym for the moon. A man traveling on Sunday with a bundle on his back was met by a fairy who asked him why he worked on the Sabbath. He replied, Sunday on earth or Monday in heaven, it's all one to me. Then carry your bundle forever. And that is what the souls are doing. So Cain's blood is also there here. Abel's blood is there. Abraham's blood is there. Jesus' blood is there. So all these bloodlines are affecting us at energetic level, at mental level, psycho level, physical level. That is why we need to do affirmations, meditations to release these things. Otherwise, you will be perpetual Monday. You will be coming back to the moon. That is why, in Indian tradition, we say that the people, they do never escape samsara. They go to the moon, then they come back here. They go to the moon and they come back here. That is why you see the first working day is Monday. Then you keep on working. You don't, sometimes they don't even take break on Sabbath. We work again. And then on Monday, we start our work day. So Monday. So this is the thing. So the Hare is related to that. So a lot of things like, even in the Q map, you have this Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, what he was doing, he had a big part in the Me Too movement, right? He was
the Me Too movement.
He was the Me Too movement. So that is there in the Q map. Who is Harvey? Harvey Hare.
Is a rabbit.
Rabbit. The lustful one. I'll show you. Lust.
Fun.
Can you believe that? See. So languid, languish, lush. So these are the words. Lustful, pain, masochism, sexual gratification, etc., etc., etc. That is why we had the Me Too movement in the last 2 years. Those things came out of the subconscious mind because I was showing you that direction, right? The northeast direction is having the hare, it is having the crow, and that's why these themes, these words are coming out in the open.
Interesting.
So how I see the world, samsara, is that as within, so without. So it doesn't mean, of course, every murder or every crime committed is within me. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like, whatever you see, you can decode it if you know the astrological part or if you know these things. And see, this is one thing which you have been saying, Charles. See, haze. The word haze.
Yes.
You have
looking at one right now.
Almost every video of yours, you are saying that I see the haze, I see the haze. Haze and hazy are believed to be cognates, which are the meaning of obscured or made foggy. And fog, obscurity, ultraviolet, northeast, all are Rahu.
Please understand, I have been where I live right now, and I'm going to switch the camera for the people to see. We are in literally a perpetual fog. You can't see the sea. The people that are viewing online, it's been foggy for 2 days, and it's a very strange fog, a very, very strange fog. One that is coming from the north. We usually have our fogs come in from the west here in Mushia. I've been here for 1.5 years now, and I've watched fogs come and go. I've never seen a fog come in from the north. And that speaks to what Partha is saying of Rahu and the fog coming in from the north.
This is a brand in India. It's a perfume brand. It has been there since last few years. In fact, there is a famous saying which the ad makers, they made it popular. What is happening now? And the other guy in the advertisement, they say it is fog. That's what I'm saying. How I see the world is a reflection of what is happening in the samsara wheel. So the keywords, the key phrases, the catchphrases, the terms, the planet, the energies, everything, they come out in the open. So that is why you have fog. That is why you have harassment, sexual harassment. It is, sexual harassment is like a big topic even in corporate circles, because Lepus constellation is harass. It is harass. And this is in the northeast direction. So as I was showing you in the Kalachakra, for just those who might have skipped, see, Ishana, Ashtami, Amasya means new moon, Gemini is twin gate, animal is hare. So that is why we have Lepus, which is hare or harass. And that is what is sexual harassment, because this is talking about the lust.
Yeah.
So this is
Wow.
happening. So everything is linked, my dear friend Charles, everything is linked to the samsara wheel. That is why in the Q map, everything, if you see the Q map again, escape samsara, why it is on the top?
Yeah.
It's because it is samsara wheel. And how many people know samsara wheel in the world?
No. Even the yogis I've talked to do not understand. They talk about these things, but they don't understand what they're saying.
Let me tell you, if you want to learn samsara,
And just
you have to
hold
really
on.
go to Tibet. You have to really go to Tibet and learn. Otherwise, in the whole world right now, I don't want to say it with ego or pride, but right now I'm the only guy who can actually decode samsara wheel apart from the Tibetan monks.
And the Tibetan monks cannot put it into the Western standards as
Yes.
you've done. You're the only one that can. You're the only one that can communicate this. And let me say, if you look up the Q on Wikipedia, the first thing it says is this is a right-wing conspiracy. The Q is a right-wing conspiracy. And let me tell you something. The right-wing in America is consistent with 100% Christians and a few Jews. Okay. Ain't no right-winger going to talk about samsara. Okay, there's nobody in Washington, D.C., especially in the Pentagon, that's going to talk about escaping the samsara wheel and make it the top of the queue and integrate it with the queue. That's not right-wing. That's not Republican. There's a few probably hippie liberal Democrats that can talk about this freely. But let me tell you, if you're thinking it's right-wing conspiracy, the right would never produce anything like this at all. And I said it last night, it would be Jesus everywhere. This would be Jesus, 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 Jesus. It's not. The top of this thing is logical, it's clear, and it's so ancient that few people can understand it, much less write it down in any way that is credible and makes sense. And Partha has just described it so perfectly that he gives it the credibility that the Great Awakening map is screaming for. He's the only one that can explain why the solar flash is so relevant, what it means, and how it ties into the wheel and the electric sun. All of that stuff at the Great Awakening that the Breadcrumbs Project understands, the Breadcrumbs Project is going to communicate. And we can't do it alone. We need an Indian master to unlock these doors for us and unlock this knowledge that is written into the Q map. All right. This is not, and if you go into the Q map, it says there are no coincidences. There are no coincidences. And Partha and I felt a synchronicity from the first moment we talked, and we've developed a great affection for each other. He's in India. I'm in Spain. I'm Basque. He's Indian. He's very calm and happy, and I'm hot-headed. But something has joined us spiritually, and we're very comfortable in that spiritual realm. All right, Partha.
Yes.
I know you're going
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yes. So let me share something which I have decoded last year, and this is there in my channel. For those who are interested, they can come to this English alphabet letters astrology. So matrix code, I have decoded this. It has only 645 views. Only 645. So that means 645 lucky souls have seen this.
Amen.
The Q is the 17th letter. It is small lightning. Okay. So Q is the beginning of enlightenment, because it is small lightning. Okay. And Q, 17th letter, and Q is also called as the crown of Magi. So those people who know about the star of Magi or the crown of Magi or the Cairo numerology, as per Cairo numerology or Kiro numerology, the number 17 relates to the crown of Magi. Okay, and Q is the 17th letter in English alphabet. It is small lightning. It is the beginning of your ascension process.
It's the beginning of the Great Awakening.
Yes, it is the ascension
Wow.
process. So I have done.
Man,
I'm showing it right now on the screen. Please go watch it. At least you will start understanding few things. So 17 crown of Magi is not something which I said. It is the great Cairo. Cairo is a great palmist astrologer from the West. He's not an Indian. He talked about the crown of Magi. Okay, and that is related to the number 17, and number 17 is Q.
Now, let me ask this: Is Magi the same thing as Magi, the three Magi that visited?
Yes, it's the same. Yes.
And okay, so to link this to the Westerners, when Christ was born, he had the three kings come, the three Magi, as Partha pronounces it. The Magi or the Magi are Zoroastrian priests, and so this all links the Zoroastrian tradition, where I've really started a lot of this discussion. What is Zoroastrianism? It's the oldest, what we would consider Western religion in period. So the birth of the Christ, who was Jewish in lineage, was acknowledged by the ancient Zoroastrians, and their story of how they got to Christ is a tale wrought with danger. So that part of the New Testament, when they talk about that, they're linking Jesus to the ancient Zoroastrians. They knew by the star of Bethlehem that the Christ was going to be born, and they were following that star. They weren't following a star; they were following astrology. They're doing exactly what Partha said or says. They studied the stars. The stars and comets send messages to those who follow it, and they're like, okay, I don't know what this means, but we're bringing gifts to this place in Jerusalem. They didn't know exactly what they were going for. They just had to follow the astrology and the astrotheology, which is what Partha is teaching us. All right, Partha, you've brought up the Star of Bethlehem. Thank you. And you may be on mute. I don't hear you.
Yes, Charles. So for those who keep saying that, I have to follow Jesus, I have to believe Jesus, let me share. I believe in Jesus more than people believe in Jesus.
You've made that point. Partha, we've been going at it an hour straight. Do you want to take a 5 or 10 minute break to get something to drink, stretch your legs?
Yes, I will do that. Just 2 minutes, Charles. I'll just finish this.
Okay.
And I'll come back.
Please.
With my water. So the Star of Bethlehem, as Charles is saying, is wise men of the East or Magi. And let me tell you just one thing, is that whatever we say, whatever words we utter, everything is a mantra. It's not that only when you say Shiva or Rama or some Tibetan chant, you are doing mantra. Even the words you speak are mantra. So if I say you scoundrel, you this, you that, that's also a mantra. It's creating negative energy. That's why we say purification of speech. So I will show that again. The mandala of speech, prana, energy. I was saying that. So that is why Buddha stressed on right speech, right actions, right words, because of that.
That's Zoroastrianism. That's the 3 points of Zoroastrianism.
So in that context, I would want to show that there is a noodles. It's called the Maggi noodles. Billions of people consume it in India every day. Even I had this. So when you're saying I'm having Maggi, what am I doing? I'm calling this.
Wow.
From the East.
Okay.
So that's called real mind programming.
Yeah. Honestly, it is. Okay. We're going. Partha and I are going to take a break.
Yes.
I want to pick up here at the Star of Bethlehem, because this is what most of us in the chat room are familiar with. And hey, Andrew. Good morning. Um, this is what most of us are familiar with, and this is a great place for us to build that link, because Jesus was not just a Christian phenomenon. He wasn't just a Jewish phenomenon. There was the Zoroastrian phenomenon, which is defined right here. And Partha, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and break down. Let's stop this Zoom meeting so that this this very important documentary can go ahead and build itself and create its own video under the Zoom format, and then we'll start a part 2 Zoom meeting. I know it's complicated, but this is the best way to create the content that people need to view, because this is an hour and a half long video.
Yes, John. So we can stop this here and we can do a part 2.
Okay. All right, guys. Partha and I, you get to watch us in the background. We're techie nerds. And so we're going to stop this Zoom meeting. Then we're going to take a break, and then create